Happening now at 4, a tanker wreck south of Greenville continuing to create havoc on the interstate in Butler County. And Biscuits baseball swinging back into action tonight at Riverwalk Stadium. Sally's there with a preview.
And the rain clearing out just in time at not only Riverwalk Stadium, but all across Alabama. But the break in the rain, short-lived. We'll talk about a return to soggy conditions straight ahead. WSFA's First at 4 starts right now.
Live, local, now. This is WSFA 12 News, First at 4.
Good afternoon, everybody. Welcome to First at 4. I'm John O'Connor. Sally is out at Riverwalk Stadium. We'll be checking in with her here in just a couple of minutes. But off the top today, an overturned tanker on I-65 south of Greenville continues to keep I-65 southbound shut down. There's a look at the map of where this is taking place. It's at mile marker 118 between Greenville and Georgiana. We've got a look at the wreck itself. That truck was carrying about 8,000 gallons of jet fuel, most of that fuel spilling out onto the highway. The driver of that big rig treated for minor injuries. There has been a detour set up between exit 128 to exit 114 for all southbound traffic. We'll keep an eye on that situation. Keep it right here on WSFA 12 News, on air and online for updates on that situation as it progresses into the evening. Some new details now about a shooting and car wreck here in Montgomery. Authorities tell us a woman was shot on Crescent Road yesterday afternoon and then wrecked her car, as you see there, on I-85 northbound while attempting to drive herself to the hospital. She apparently ran her car into two other vehicles. No one was injured as a result of that crash. She is listed in stable condition. The shooting, the result, we understand, of some sort of altercation. Chances are you have seen a car try to beat the train across the tracks, and that is the point of a 40-city tour, asking residents to be safe when it comes to train tracks. New statistics show that Alabama drivers, some of the worst offenders when it comes to safe driving around railroad tracks. Live in our newsroom is WSFA 12 News reporter Jennifer Horton. And Jen, what's the big takeaway here?
Well, John, Alabama is number 6 in the nation for car and train collisions and 14th in the country for fatal crashes involving trains. The top 15 states in the country with fatal car and train collisions account for about 85% of all the accidents in the country, which is really bad news for Alabama. The mission of the tour is to remind drivers of these dangers with hopes drivers start to take it to heart.
A lot of it has to do with the 3,500 miles of railroad track, the over 6,000 public and private crossings, and Alabama is a very mobile state. We don't have mass public transportation, so if you want to go somewhere, you got to drive. So the more you drive, you're crossing tracks, and sometimes we get complacent, we get distracted, and we just don't pay attention. We're in a hurry.
Operation Lifesaver asks all drivers, when you see a track, think train. John, they said this simple idea could save a lot of lives.
No doubt about it, Jen. Thank you very much. Lawmakers considering a gas tax increase. The proposal is a 6-cent increase. One Alabama lawmaker wants to make sure that that money would go to construction of roads and bridges.
Some counties said that they are at the point to where that they can no longer repave their roads. They're thinking about scraping up the broken asphalt and putting the roads back to gravel because they just don't have the money to pave their roads. And these are not scare tactics, they're just a reality.
Alabama has not raised the gas tax in 25 years. Taking a look outside over downtown Montgomery, turned into a lovely day today after all of that rain late yesterday afternoon going into the evening and overnight. And it's a nice evening to head out to Riverwalk Stadium, maybe catch a little baseball action, the home opener of the Biscuits. Let's find out how things are going to shape up as we move on into the week. Here he is, First Alert Chief Meteorologist Josh Johnson. A nice one out there today, Josh.
Yeah, it really has been. You know, the morning certainly got off to kind of a subpar start, so to speak. But as we've powered through the afternoon and now here to the early evening hours, things have really trended in the right direction. We're off to a great start now. The rain is long gone. Should be perfect baseball weather out at Riverwalk Stadium for first pitch coming up in just a few hours. Let's begin with a look at radar here. I want to show you kind of what happened earlier and what's happening now. You see what I see here, which is a nice clean radar screen, high and dry where we live right now. Check this out, though. We'll go into storm mode here, and what I'm going to do is pull up radar estimates of rainfall over the past 24 hours, and we'll throw some numbers on the screen at you here. You'll notice a little bullseye up there in Elmore County. Radar projecting 3 inches there. Radar estimating around 2 inches in Montgomery County. 2 to 3 inches down into parts of Wilcox County. Lighter amounts into southeast Alabama, under an inch primarily down in the Wiregrass County. So as always with rain, your mileage will vary from one town to the next, but the general trend here has been a 1 to 2 inch rainfall with some isolated pockets up over 2 to 3 inches of rain. We get a break in the action. That's a good thing. Certainly a great thing for Biscuits baseball. But unfortunately, that break doesn't last forever, and more rain is on the way as we look towards tomorrow evening into tomorrow night. We'll talk in great detail about that next storm system, track it for you hour by hour coming up in just a moment. John?
All right, Josh, thanks. Happening right now. We mentioned a good night for baseball. The final preps underway there at Riverwalk Stadium for the Biscuits home opener as they take on Mississippi tonight. Let's go live out to Riverwalk Stadium and Sally Pitts. Sally, what time is first pitch going to be tonight?
It is at 7:05 tonight, John, and tickets are still available for this game. This stadium has enough room for 7,300 fans, and we would love to see it packed out here tonight. As you heard Josh say, the weather looks great tonight, so it's going to be a fantastic night for baseball here at Riverwalk Stadium. Maria Martin will be covering the game for us tonight. And Maria, the Biscuits are coming off a season where they made the playoffs. How can they build off that momentum coming into this season?
Well, one of the things that just happened to them, and we've been talking all about this weather, it's beautiful out here tonight, but in Jackson, they just came off a pretty brutal series against the Generals in Jackson. One of the biggest things, the factor was the weather there. It was 50s the first night, and they got completely shut out on the road. They are coming off a pretty good win on Monday. Their game yesterday got postponed because of rain. Speaking of some more weather bumps in the road, but today it looks like some beautiful weather for baseball.
You mentioned the Biscuits started this season on the road against Jackson. They really struggled.
They did struggle, but another team that's struggling are the Mississippi Braves that they're playing right now. They're 1-5. And the Biscuits are 1-4. So they're both struggling, but the positives for the Biscuits is that there's 9 of the top 30 Rays prospects right here in Montgomery.
The Biscuits always have some sort of special, and coming up Friday night is bobblehead night, and the
Yes.
bobblehead will be Chris Archer. How's he doing for the Rays right now?
Well, Chris Archer is the Rays' ace pitcher, but he's been off to also another struggling start. A 7.20 ERA for Chris Archer, which is extremely uncharacteristic for him, but manager Kevin Cash isn't too concerned, and I don't really think he should be either.
Hoping for better days ahead for him. Thanks,
That's
Maria.
right.
And we should mention, John, that our ace pitcher, Judd Davis, will be throwing out the first pitch tonight. I did see him warming up earlier today during Alabama Live. He looks pretty good, so I think he's going to do well, John.
Yeah, you know, you can always use a little warm-up before those first pitches, Sally. Thanks a lot. We'll be interested in seeing that one after it happens. Coming up next here at 4, Donald Trump winning the Missouri primary weeks after the votes were cast. We'll tell you why there was such a delay there. Also, it has been runoff day here in Alabama. We'll tell you what you need to know about today's primary.
Baseball is back in Montgomery. The team has its first game of the season here at Riverwalk Stadium tonight. The Biscuits will take on the Mississippi Braves at 7:05 tonight. Right now, they are taking batting practice here at Riverwalk Stadium. This is the 13th season for the Montgomery Biscuits. Meg Lewis is with the Montgomery Area Chamber of Commerce. And Meg, downtown Montgomery has changed a lot since that first season.
Yeah, and the Biscuits and Riverwalk Stadium has been sort of part of a little bit of a triangle for tourism. They attract the visitors. They make the streets busy with people who are coming out to see the game. We have hotels where people stay, and we have the great entertainment district. It's kind of all part of what we're doing down here to bring more people into Montgomery.
And what's fascinating is the level of interest Biscuits baseball gets from your international visitors.
Absolutely. You know, it's an opportunity for people who don't have American baseball as part of their culture to experience it in a really accessible way because the ticket prices are so affordable, and then the atmosphere is so much fun. Even if they don't know how to follow the game, they have a great time.
It really is a fun atmosphere here in a beautiful facility. And when we think of Riverwalk Stadium, we think of Biscuits baseball, but it really has become a resource and a point of pride for the city of Montgomery.
Absolutely. From serving as the finish line for the Montgomery Marathon to the venues here that are available for people to rent and use for events of their own, this has become sort of a focal point for downtown and a place people really enjoy and are proud of.
It has become a multi-purpose facility. Meg, thank you so much for your time.
Thank you.
And we should mention that there are tickets still available for tonight's game against the Mississippi Braves. Again, that first pitch at 7:05. You can buy those tickets when you get here to Riverwalk Stadium. John?
All right, Sally, thanks a lot. Looking forward to that game tonight. I'll be out at Riverwalk Stadium here a little bit later on this evening, and I'll have more on tonight's home opener coming up on WSFA 12 News tonight at 10 o'clock. There is a whole lot ahead here in the second half hour of WSFA 12 News First at 4. We're keeping an eye on that situation there on I-65 with that wreck and a whole lot more. Let's send it over to Mark now. He's got a preview of what's in our second half hour.
John, Alabama's Manufacturer of the Year Awards are held today here in the capital city. Also ahead, we're putting the new Galaxy S7 and the larger S7 Edge to the test. If you're in the market for a smartphone, find out what Consumer Reports has to say about these newest Samsung offerings.